Hey, Twiz fam. So I wanted to make this video because a lot of you guys been asking me how I think about launching new products. And I actually am currently launching a new product that's going to be targeted towards B2B SaaS companies. And a lot of those are actually agencies, but just in general, they're kind of generic. So I really wanted to talk through how I would launch a completely new product, how that works within my flywheel, how I think about everything in terms of launching them and growing and enabling profit as you scale. And then also wanted to let you know that if you are inside the software, you want to search badass or just offer, and then it will come up here and you can use any of these resources to really create one of these two usually actually just to create this offer with me. But I'm going to be walking you through this inside here, so you can go in here and you can kind of see how I'm doing it. So basically, the way that I break this down, I have this template that I essentially repurposed from $100 million offers. So I kind of took that model of Alex Hormozi's book and I made it into a template that works for agencies trying to launch products, right? And so the first step is figuring out my niche. So the one thing here, let me zoom in a little bit around like my niche. These are the ones for this new product. And I should give you some context on what this product is, I guess, first before I jump into it. Basically, what I've been realizing is that there's a lot of people who have been asking us how they could build communities like ours and how they can create content like ours. And it's a great product because we have thousands and thousands of people now who engage with our stuff and follow us. So we can kind of command that authority of saying, hey, we can do this. We like built entirely bootstrap SaaS product that's valued at multi-millions of dollars. And, you could do this with just content and creating goodwill. You don't need to go spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on paid ads to make this happen, right? So that's like a pretty in-demand thing. And so we're trying to help people create communities and create content. And so I'm going to walk you through how I think about how I built that. So if we go into here, the niche isn't necessarily agencies because a lot of agencies don't have their own B2B SaaS product. It's companies that have a service business, have an opportunity to educate a larger audience. The audience is underserved, needs to deliver high quality work. Nobody has spent the time to answer them, wants to build more profitable revenue streams, build a massive community and resource. Like this is generally it. Now, I will say, like a lot of people, they will say that, hey, you need to niche down on something. That actually has not been my experience. I don't think you need to niche down all the way if it's not necessary. And what I mean by this is basically, and I'll get into this later, but when you search something on Google and you're looking for a specific service, like let's say you're a business owner in general, right? I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about someone else. Let's say that you're someone randomly searching for something on the internet. If someone were to search for your specific product or service, could you honestly argue that yours is 10x better than every other person's? And if the answer is no, then that probably means that your product is not actually a standout, which means it's always going to be more difficult for you to scale, right? So if you can, for some reason, like let's say it's TikTok advertising, because that's kind of a newer space, you don't need to niche down to like TikTok advertising for realtors necessarily if you think your product can actually be 10x better than all TikTok advertising companies, right? But if it can't, then you may need to go down more and say, hey, TikTok advertising for realtors, TikTok advertising for realtors with over $100 million in sales, like something super specific. That is only for if you cannot be 10x better than the best thing currently on the market, right? That is the only time that makes sense. And so for me, I actually did decide to niche down. I'll show you why, but it's basically, that wasn't how I started it. In my agency right now, we service all types of niches, but for this specific product, it's just B2B SaaS. So anyways, the next step here is to figure out how we're going to actually deliver it. So the first one is like, what will the solution be? So for me, I've decided to do done for you, one to many, and done with you. Sorry, my cursor's been a little weird right now. But basically, what this basically means is done with you is you are going to teach them how they can do this themselves. One to many is typically like a group session or a workshop or whatever. And then done for you is we're going to do all of this ourselves. You don't have to even worry about it. This is all us. We're going to take care of everything. You just sit back and let the magic happen. So I actually think you could do a combination of these three things to maximize the value of the product. And that's what we're going to do. You want to always charge more for higher value services. So if you're doing more, obviously charge more. That's a more obvious one, but a lot of people don't do that. And then how will I deliver it? So I already have the software. So that's one. I already have courses. That's another. I already do workshops on a weekly basis. So there's no incremental cost for me to do these things. weekly or monthly meetings done by my team to deliver the content and stuff. We are going to communicate. It's not no communication. We are going to communicate. And then email only, no, we're actually going to meet with them, right? And then in terms of writing out the price points, so this is what I kind of wanted to do even kind of live on this call, because I was doing a lot of research last night, and from my intuition, I was able to kind of intuit that we would be 10x better, but I'm actually excited to see what comes up. So when I search B2B SaaS content planning, right, we can see what's coming up. See Contentful, direct consulting, how to SaaS. And then I have to ask myself seriously, like, am I better than every one of these options? So Contentful, I would say that I'm 10x better than this, because if I was looking for a solution for content planning, I would still have to learn how to do this myself. Now, you could say that they have a lot of good resources and things like that, but they're not helping them. And I think a lot of times, in my personal opinion, we'll see how this does in the market. In my personal opinion, people do need their hand kind of held, because a lot of the thinking around communities and content is sort of difficult to understand at first. And I would also say that if someone were to search for what I just searched for, which was B2B SaaS content planning, I can be 10x better than Contentful, because I'm not just doing the content, I'm helping them with the community side too. And so in that sense, we're actually better. We also help with the SEO and the website optimization, which also makes us better. Now I see here, SaaS SEO agency. Let's see if we can be better than this company. So SEO SaaS designed to match your business models, your goals, and expectations. Okay, they do have some good reviews on Clutch. That's cool. SEO, content strategy. So a lot of this is the same as us, but again, the only thing that's different, and I think that gives us a 10x advantage over this company, is the community part. I literally think that's the only difference, because if it was just part SEO, these guys look great. I don't think I could be 10 times better than them, if I'm being real. But they're not offering any community thing, which to me is a huge issue, because it's not enough to just be making SEO now and doing content. You have to actually build a community, right? So I see they have Join Society, a Slack community for SaaS marketers, right? So this is sick, but it's like, are they teaching people how to do the same thing? I think if they did that, then you might have an even better situation here. This last one, which is How to SaaS, drive top line revenue growth with marketing strategy built by SaaS experts. This is actually pretty dope. This is actually going to be harder to beat. I'm looking here like, okay, companies we've helped, ROI breakdown by channels. This is sick. So the question here really will come down to cost, because we can actually deliver ours for $9.97 per month. So the only difference would be, how expensive is this? Judging by the fact that they're not telling me what the price is and they're not very public about it, I'm assuming their cost is probably between the $2,000 to $5,000 per month range, which if I could do all the things they're doing here and also teach them about community for $1,000 per month, then I think we will actually be better. So these are just the kind of things that I look through when I'm creating this stuff. But I could also add and community building and see if anything comes up. Okay. Hive, right? This looks sick. Web Profits Agency. How to build it. Okay. All one, easy to set up, customizable. So this is like more of a platform, which again, and this is something a lot of people mess up when they're building this out, and this is something I didn't think about at first either, is that if somebody has a solution for something that someone is searching online and it's not the same style of solution, I mean, it's a SaaS product and yours maybe as an agency, what that could mean is that the users searching for that thing actually want a SaaS product. They don't want to work with an agency. And that's why they're doing well on that Google search. And so for you, you have to ask yourself, is it actually better for this company? And will they see more value if they're working with an agency, or if they're working with a SaaS only and no agency, right? Because it could be that the solutions on the market are that they just want to work with SaaS products. They don't even want to work with an agency. They just think they can do this themselves. And that's very possible, right? So I see here, it says sign up mode, user profile, access right, features, branding. This is all very cool. I love this. Looks really sick. Content management. So basically it's like doing all of it. It doesn't seem like it. Yeah. Connect the alumni. Okay. So this is all just kind of like building a portal, which I think is great. And hey, if the community, if the people I talk to vote and they say, we just actually want this, a software to help us. We don't actually want you to teach us. We don't actually want you to do any of the work, right? then that's different, right? So that's a different thing. I can see here, like, this is what came up for community building. If I look for community building agency, like maybe just B2B SaaS community building, this one came up twice, Highbright. So they're clearly, so this is pretty popular. And so a lot of these SaaS companies, they probably just want a software. I see Insided. Let's go look at this. You can click through and see build community, grow efficiency, beat uncertainty. So let's see what they have. So they have overview, self-service. Okay. This is pretty solid. So this is like, so this is the thing. Maybe this is something I would recommend to the people in the community. I could say, hey, you should use Insided because it's really, really good. So I might even just actually, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to say, really solid software for communities, maybe partner and offer it to clients. Because the thing is, if this is clearly the solution, your whole goal is just to get your clients more success. So if you need to focus on the delivery and your clients keep saying, oh man, I really love your service, but I wish there was a way you could just do this for me, right? That might be what they want. So you might need to actually just give them this and just say, hey, look, you guys need to go get this because my service is going to be so much more valuable if you have a community thing like this. And I don't get a cut on this. It's all just basically goodwill, or I will maybe give you a discount because instead of me getting a commission, we'll just give you this instead. If that's the case, right, then they might need it. Now, I think that's probably the main thing that they might say is they might say, some people might say, hey, I actually already have a community tool. I don't need any help growing it. I'm using this tool. They're giving me all these cool resources. I'm loving it. I don't need a SaaS company agency to work with, right? That could be the case. And if that is the case, then you don't actually have as good of a product as you need. So it is possible that you might need to change the way you do it or even build a software yourself if you think that you can't do it or compete on this on your own, right? So I think the big thing here is like, I might partner with them. Now, in terms of the solutions category, website content plan for communities, engagement group for content, like the first one is really what I'm going for. What is 10x different than you from any of your competitors? For me, it's that we can help them deliver a story. And so none of these websites seem to be talking about any sort of like founder-led program that will teach them how to build a massive community and how to get leads for basically no cost. And that is a huge difference. So I think that's pretty easy to, and I could defend that at scale because I know how to defend that kind of a product at scale. And we're going to teach them how to build a community and post on social. And then we're going to do all the content planning and posting for them on their website. So we can build kind of like a resource hub. So I think that focus on like building a resource hub, kind of like these guys have here to drive people to, is also really powerful. Can I sustain affiliates at this price point? Yes. And then what de-risking elements will you add to make it easier to buy? So like, for instance, money back guarantee, guaranteed X quantity. For me, I think what we might end up doing is we might end up doing, it's not really a money back guarantee because the thing is, so this is something that's very important. If you're doing direct response, a lot of people typically want to see like a money back guarantee because they want to understand, or even some sort of like assurances because they want to see if I'm going to spend all this money, am I going to get a direct response? Am I going to get a direct result? Right. But with content, everyone just knows they need content. So you could do maybe like a trial to see if they like the content, but you don't have to actually usually do something like that because they typically will just determine if they like it or not and then move on if they don't. But you don't need to like, you don't usually need to give them a money back guarantee on these kind. I think a trial would probably work best in this situation. And then any bonuses. I mean, there's so many bonuses I can add because of the community and ecosystem we built. But I want to just touch on one last thing before we jump here, which is really that at the end of the day, the reason why I chose B2B SaaS as the market, because we were considering doing the same community building service for e-commerce companies and stuff, was because it enabled my flywheel to be more successful. And what I mean by that is when you look at your business, it's basically a series, it's like a clock where like every single piece works in tandem. And the clock can be more efficient if every single piece is as efficient as possible. And then combined, it's one group efficiency that maximizes output. And so when I think of my flywheel, I think of, okay, B2B SaaS would be great because in my software right now, I have a bunch of agencies who are looking for gigs, and then I have people who are coming in to get matched with agencies. Well, if I got B2B SaaS companies, I could give the supply side more boost because all these B2B SaaS companies could then come to the agencies whenever they need services, which will then increase supply, which then increases total sales and increases demand, because there will probably be a tantamount increase in supply and demand for a bit before supply stops and demand increases. But my point is that this is part of that flywheel. It's part of that thing that makes everything work, right? And so I would encourage you to think of that as kind of like the last piece here when you're deciding on a product is, what is the product going to do that would enable your entire ecosystem to work well and grow efficiently and be the best ever in your niche, right? And for me, it's pretty much sales enablement tools or like service-based sales enablement tools. That's pretty much my niche. That's probably my lane for a long time. And that's kind of my goal, is to stay in that niche. So hopefully this video has been helpful for you guys. Hopefully it's been a lot of value. I really appreciate everybody who's given me great guidance and insight into how we can help them scale their agency and also their businesses in general. If you have any questions for me, feel free to comment below, or feel free to let me know if you want any sort of content built specifically for you, and I can add it to the docket. Just like this one, somebody requested me to make this video and I made it for them. All right. Thank you.